What's up, everyone? Today it is just me. I am going to be answering your questions. This is a live Q&A for our Movement Mastermind members. So get your questions in, whatever you want, whatever the topic is. This is an impromptu Q&A. We haven't done this before. Hey everyone, in case we haven't met, my name is Rad Burmeister. I'm one of the co-founders of Unity Gym and co-creators of the UMS, the Unified Movement System, where we turn driven people into strong and flexible athletes. If you want to know how we do it, grab one of our free blueprints. We've got the Strength Blueprint, the Flexibility Blueprint, and the Nutrition Blueprint. There's a link in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube or in the comments of the podcast. I would normally at this moment say how we doing today, but I've only got the voice of God here, so I'm going to ask you, Richie, how are we doing today?
I'm pretty good. Happy to be here.
You're going to have to give me some help here today, Richie. I'm going to need to lean on you. If I start fumbling for words, we're going to be having a little bit of a conversation, because for anybody that's watching, it is a lot harder for me to do these shows when I'm on my own than you would think. So I'm gonna throw this out there. The quality of this show today is going to depend on the questions that you give me. Anything. You can ask me anything. You can ask me, what is my, what color underwear do I wear, if that's something that you want to know.
Come on, Rad.
You can ask me what my favorite recipe for gazpacho soup is, if you want to know. No, let's keep it on topic. Anything to do with strength and flexibility in the UMS. Get your questions in, and I'm about to scoop the and Richie, if you can just be scanning the Movement Mastermind group for any questions that you think would be relevant. Let me know when you find something.
Yep.
We've got I'm on my lonesome today, Lee. That's right. We've got Yani's at home with a cold. He's having two kids in daycare through winter. Unfortunately, anybody that's had kids in daycare, you'd know. You just start getting sick all the time. It's insane how many viruses get brought home. Yani's had 3 COVID tests this year, and they've all come back negative, of course. So he's getting a little bit tired of getting the swab up his nose. It's quite funny, in my opinion, but I'm his brother, so I laugh at his despair. I'm going to have a little scan of the page here and see. And Phil is off having a belated birthday celebration. There was something he was meant to do with it for his birthday that he's gone to do, spend some time with his family and friends today and tomorrow. So so guys, get your questions in. Any questions that you have about your training, I will answer them for you. I'm just looking at some of the questions here. Just give me a sec. I'm going to avoid the injury-related questions today.
We had a question from Dean Weber, but you did respond to him about that.
I'll answer it anyway, because it is a good question. It's something that a lot of people ask. So Dean Weber has, you can pull it up if you want, Richie. He's saying, just curious, been working on the 18-minute program for the last couple of weeks. In future, guys, please make sure that you say 18-minute stretching routine or 18-minute mobility routine, because they are different. On the 18-minute program for the last couple of weeks, without trying to criticize the program, it's very thorough and I'm enjoying it and how good it makes me feel after doing it. But it does seem more like a long full-body mobility routine rather than a flexibility routine. Is it actually possible to make substantial flexibility gains from just that program? Thanks. So first thing I'll say is, Dean, you're absolutely right. It is it's definitely the 18-minute stretching routine that you've got then, if you are making that critique, because we do now have the 18-minute mobility routine, and the reason why is thanks, Vinny. Thanks for the support, brother. So the reason why is, I only started stretching properly about 5, or maybe it might be coming up to 6 years ago now, but I think it was about 5 years ago. I think I was 37 when I started, and I didn't understand the difference between flexibility and mobility. And it is people have. I still don't think there is a really definitive answer on what it is. It depends on who you speak to, but where I got my definition from was the most recent book that I've read that's had a big impact on my training and program development and everything. And I've read a lot over the decades that I've now been a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for 17 years. So I've read a lot, and I've been to more workshops with high-level strength and conditioning coaches and PhD holders and dietitians and everything that I can remember. But most recently, I've read and reread a book called Overcoming Gravity by, I think his name is Stephen Lowe. And I read that book because, I was getting started in calisthenics, and I wanted to, go to the authority on calisthenics for books, and that's considered the authority. And he explained the difference between mobility and flexibility better than anyone that I've ever read before. And basically, mobility is an umbrella term for taking the joints through full range of motion. So there's so many different ways to do mobility, but it's basically taking the joints through their full range of motion. Flexibility has many different ways of developing flexibility, but it is all for the goal of increasing mobility. And flexibility training is generally done at a much higher intensity. So where you do sets and reps, and you do it in a way where you maybe even feel mobility, you feel flexibility DOMs, where you feel sore the next day from your flexibility training. Whereas mobility training is generally done at a much lower intensity, with a goal, say for example, a warm up or a cool down or a mobility workout that you would do on your day off. And after understanding this, it dawned on me, Dean, that the 18-minute stretching routine was actually not a stretching routine, it was a mobility routine. And the mobility masterclass was actually not a mobility masterclass, it was a flexibility masterclass, which is one of the reasons why, when creating the more updated, more current version that drew on 5 years of experience, because I created the 18-minute stretching routine and the mobility masterclass, I created that 5 years ago when I was right at the start of my flexibility journey. Now, when I say right at the start, I'd been learning about flexibility for decades in martial arts and through being a personal trainer. But I never put it together in a program that I then did daily to become flexible like I am now. But since then, I worked with some amazing flexibility coaches. I developed my personal ability. I developed my knowledge. And it became really, really clear that I'd named those programs incorrectly. But rather than changing the names of those programs, which was already, as soon as you change anything that people have, come to love, it just confuses people. People just, there's people that don't watch any of these videos, and one day they log in and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I can't see my program anymore. Well, it's still there. It's just we changed the name of it. So that's not the right way to go about it. But also I'd learnt a lot since developing the 18-minute stretching routine, which is why I decided to create the 18-minute mobility routine, which is what I do now. I don't do the 18-minute stretching routine anymore. My daily mobility routine has evolved, so that's why I created the 18-minute mobility routine. And I don't do the mobility masterclass anymore either. My flexibility training has evolved, so I created the flexibility masterclass, which is what I do now. It's a superior program. It draws on my experience over the years, and it's now named correctly. So, Dean, to round this off, yes, you're absolutely right. The 18-minute stretching routine, really is a mobility routine. Will you make substantial flexibility gains in it? That depends on where you're starting from. Absolutely. There are thousands of people around the world, literally thousands. I think it's well above 5,000, maybe even 6,000 people that have got that program, and we've got so many testimonials of people saying how that program has changed their lives. Even people that were dancers and people that were yogis are talking about how they've made substantial flexibility gains. Will you ever get to the ultimate levels of flexibility, as in being able to do like full middle splits, front splits, pancakes, back bridges, all of that? In my experience, no, it didn't work for me. I got to a point where I plateaued with the 18-minute stretching routine, which is why I then went on and created the mobility masterclass, and which is why I've then gone on to create the flexibility masterclass. Yes, I believe that if you want to get, as the way that you've put it, is it actually possible to make substantial flexibility gains from that program? Yes, you will, but you will get to a point where you will need to level up and go to a proper flexibility program, which is the Flexibility Masterclass. So yeah, hope that answers your question, even though I had already answered it via a comment. There's a big, deep, in-depth answer for you. I'm going to just type that now. In-depth answer for you, Dean. Cool. Let's have a look. I think Vinny has a question here. Get your questions in, guys. If you're watching, type it in. I will answer any question that you have about the UMS. Vinny's saying, still trying to improve my squat position. Lower back is rounding too much. Is it just a matter of sitting in that position as much as possible? I seem to have plateaued with that position. Vinny, I would suggest that you do the 30-day squat challenge. Basically, for 30 days, you squat for 30 minutes a day of accumulated time. So you could do 30 times 1 minute. You could do 6 times 5 minutes. You could do 3 times 10 minutes. You could do 1 times 10 minute and 10 times 2 minutes, like whatever it is. Basically just, open the stopwatch app on your phone, press start when you're in the squat. When you finish, stop, but don't reset the stopwatch. And then every time you go down and squat, just start the stopwatch again. That will have a dramatic, you will have a dramatic improvement in squat depth and mobility if you do that. Now you can do anything in the squat position. You can do the Buddha prayer, squat from the mobility routine, from the 18-minute mobility routine. You can do the knee wiggles where you wiggle the knee. You can do the rotations. You can do the ones where you round forward, or you can just sit there. You can do, if you're in a gym, there's a really good way to increase squat flexibility by getting a barbell, probably with your strength and body weight, like a 40 kilo or what would that be, 90-pound barbell, and you pull it up to just above your knees, and then you squat down so that the barbell sits just above your kneecaps, and basically the weight of the barbell pulls your knees forward and pulls you deeper into the squat. You can sit in that for a minute, once or twice or 3 times a day. But basically for 30 days, don't miss a day and do an accumulated total of 30 minutes of squatting a day. And let me know how that goes. Start with that.
Also, I just wanted to chime in here. It's also very hard to give you advice on your squat if we can't see it. So
yep.
Maybe put a video in the Facebook group page so we can see it, and then give you more specific advice on what you could work on with flexibility. Yeah.
Yep. I couldn't agree with that more. All of you watching this stuff, you guys need to post more videos. If you've got a question about anything to do with your physical capability, it should always be accompanied with a video. The answer that you're going to get is it's not even going to be a fraction of how valuable it'll be if we can see a video of you doing it. I've got a friend who has an online coaching program, and he's made it a rule that he doesn't even answer people's questions unless it comes with a video, for this reason. Okay, William Wong is saying, I'm seeing a physio for a shoulder injury at the moment. I've put off the foundations program for almost 2 months since I purchased it. Is it okay to start doing the program but do some adjustments so I don't push too much stress on the shoulder, or shall I still wait until I have recovered? What shoulder injury have you got, man? Unless it's a bone injury, you absolutely should not wait. We bang the drum all the time that exercise is a critical part of rehabilitating an injury. I've injured my shoulder last week doing a really heavy bench press, and it's a pretty nasty injury, and I'm doing all the stuff that I normally do, but you just reduce the intensity. That's at the grassroots level of rehabilitation. That's what you should do. The shoulder rehab program is excellent for shoulder rehabilitation, and that's something that you can do with the Foundations program. But if that's not something that you're willing to invest in, then in the very least, absolutely do the Foundations program, but reduce the intensity to a level where you can not experience more than about roughly a 3 out of 10 pain, and where you feel like it hasn't been made worse the next day when you do it. Absolutely, that Foundations program is so good for dealing with injuries if you don't have the shoulder rehab program. Chad Ryan is saying, I'm desperate to improve my roundhouse kicks, and I'm looking at buying a course from you guys after having some success with your middle splits routines from YouTube's. He's saying, I'm unsure what course would suit alongside my Thai training. Man, there's two answers. There's two answers for that one. The 18-minute mobility routine and the flexibility masterclass. Both of them are unbelievable, and both of them will deliver a really good result, and the best result would come from having both of them, because they both hit a part of the puzzle, and a part of the puzzle is that you need to increase your mobility in things like the front splits, middle splits, pancake, and all those movements that allow you to kick higher. And you do that with the flexibility masterclass. But then the other thing that you really need to do is daily mobility, which is something that you do like as a cool down or on the days that you're not training, and that is the 18-minute mobility routine. So both of those, either of them will give you a really, really good increase in flexibility. Both of them together will give you an even better increase in flexibility. So where to start? Honestly, I'd probably start with unless you're willing to get both of them and knuckle down on both of them at the same time, I'd start with the 18-minute mobility routine. Learn it back to front so that you don't need to do the follow-along videos with me. And once you know it back to front and you don't need to watch the video to do the routine, then learn the flexibility masterclass, because that is much more of a beast of a program. There's more involved in it. And if you do it daily, at least the mobility routine daily, maybe 1 day a week off if you want, and the flexibility masterclass, you do it the prescribed amount that's in the program, which is you do the middle splits routine once a week and the pancake / front splits and pike routines once a week, or maybe it's twice a week with those ones. Then you'll see some great progress, man. You really will. Vinny's saying, thanks, you're welcome, brother. William Wong saying impingement. Okay, shoulder impingement, huh? Yeah, look, absolutely, dude. Just get started with really light load, and make sure you're doing the stretches between the sets as well. And just taking the load easy, man. Just taking it easy. All right, if anybody else is watching live and you've got any questions, get them in so that I can answer them for you. And otherwise, I'm going to be scrolling.
There's a question from Dave Clark. If you scroll down a little bit, it was on the 12th of September.
Okay, let's have a look here. Do you want to read it? Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay.
You got it?
Okay, here we go. So I've got a question about active middle splits from the Flexibility Masterclass, which is probably one for me, one for Rad. I perform this using the tumble track sliders, and I can hold this for about 25 to 30 seconds without using my hands for support. Middle splits from the Flexibility Masterclass. Okay. However, this is when timing from the moment I'm standing and not from the point I'm at maximum range of motion. That's more like 10 seconds. When I can no longer hold this position instead of immediately coming out of this stretch, would I benefit by holding onto something for an extra 10 to 20 seconds to increase the time under tension? Brother, in all honesty, when I did the mobility masterclass all those years ago, I used the tumble track sliders when doing the active middle splits, and my understanding, I'm just writing this, my understanding of the reasons as to why you'd use tumble track sliders and for the active middle splits has improved a lot since then, and I would not use tumble track sliders for the active middle splits for this reason. The intensity is too high. If you can't get the volume, if you can't get the prescribed 30 seconds down there, then the intensity is too high. So that's like saying, you know, I know that in the program it says I should do 6 to 8 reps on the bench press, but when I do it with 100 kilos, I can only do 2 or 3 reps. Should I get somebody to spot me for the last 4 or 5 reps? Well, no, absolutely you shouldn't. That's ridiculous. You should lower the weight to 80 kilos or 70 kilos and do the 6 to 8 reps like the program prescribes. But that's a very simple way to understand, because you're talking about intensity via the amount of weight you're lifting, whereas what you're talking about now is intensity via the mode of exercise selection. So by either using tumble track sliders or not using tumble track sliders. But in your case, using the tumble track sliders, the intensity is too high and you can't maintain you can't get the amount of volume that's prescribed in the program. So I now, even though I can use tumble track sliders and go right down until, you know, my balls are about this far off the floor, I still use the tumble track sliders very rarely because the intensity is so high. And I've learned over my years of stretching that it is not good for you to just be pushing yourself to that really intense level of stretch regularly. It causes more harm than good, and there is a place for it. And after, like, the way that I've used the tumble track sliders for my middle splits training is that periodically at the very end of my middle splits workout, I'll go on the tumble track sliders and allow myself to go out as wide as I can to basically to see how well I'm progressing. But you guys have got to bear in mind that I've now been, and even, you know, maybe for those of you that are in the Movement Mastermind, maybe for those of you that look to me for being your coach, maybe I am considered to have an extremely high level of flexibility, and I respect that I definitely now have developed a higher level of flexibility than the average person. But there's people that I look to for coaching and that I look to for inspiration that make me look like a chump, you know? And I'll go to a workshop where I'm learning from, you know, a coach, you know, for something like flexibility or handstands or whatever. And I'm at a mediocre level in the room. But what I think that Yani and I excel at is breaking down the lessons that are required for people like you guys to get the breakthrough to get to where I'm at. I think that I do that better than most people, because I look at the way that other coaches are teaching and I think, I understand that, I get it, but I'm a personal trainer who's been in the industry for 17 years. So I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent there. But what I want to say is that this is the reason. Whose question am I answering here again? Dave, this is the reason why I created the Flexibility Masterclass. Rather than recreating the Mobility Masterclass and confusing people or removing it from people and giving something else which just pisses people off, I've just left it as it is, but it's now a hidden program. You can't purchase it anymore if you don't have it. But I've created the Flexibility Masterclass to start from phase 1 again, knowing a better way to do things. So, yeah, you'll notice, bro, that in the Flexibility Masterclass, when I do the active middle splits, I don't do it with tumble track sliders. It's I don't recommend it for people doing phase 1 of that program. It's just too intense, man. It's too much load on the body. Let's see if anybody else is. Oh, awesome, Dave. So hopefully you got the answer for that, brother. Does that answer your question, man? Let me know. Anybody else got any questions for me on the live stream? Otherwise, we're going to be going to the next question in the Movement Mastermind. Richie, we got any more here?
I'm just looking through now.
So it looks like we've got a question from Sharon Lynn on the Foundations Phase 1. She's saying, so I haven't read any of these questions yet, so I don't know what we've got here. So Foundations Phase 1, Friday, lower body strength question, wrist flexion and extension. The only individual barbells I have are super light weight, heaviest is 1.5 kilos. Is it okay to use the adjustable dumbbell this way that you're using it, or perhaps doing one side at a time is a better option? Also, I assume looking for the same strength between flexion and extension is desirable. Is that assumption correct? Thanks in advance for your advice. So firstly, no, you are definitely not looking for the same strength in flexion and extension. You're looking for roughly double the strength in flexion than extension. Some people have a little bit more strength in flexion than in extension, but a good rule of thumb is about double the strength in flexion and extension. And what you're doing is beautiful. I love it, and I'll tell you why. You're improvising and you're making do with what you've got. And the UMS is designed to teach people how to fish rather than to feed you for a day. And that's just awesome. You've been given a blueprint. You've been shown this is what we would like you to do, and you've looked at what you've got and thought, well, I can't do that, but I'm going to do it this way to still create the same joint movement and stimulate the same muscle growth. And that's just awesome, Sharon. So well done. Really, really good. I'm just going to have a quick look, Richie, in the UMS online coaching group, because we always like to answer those people first, because of course they are the people that are working with us on the highest level. So let's have a quick look in here. Okay, actually, you know what? We're going to go through on Friday and answer these questions. We're going to answer them in better... Josh has got a good question here saying, I'm wanting to incorporate rope climbs into my routine, wondering at what stage, and do you have a video for these? First thing, Josh, is the rope climb. If you're talking about an actual rope climb where you have your entire body suspended by your hands and you climb up, that is an advanced exercise, and you need to be able to do a lot of pull-ups first. You're going to want to be able to do, I'd say, one set of 8 pull-ups of good chin-ups. Sorry, not pull-ups, not pronade, but good chin-ups. Before you even attempt a rope climb. But what we do is, the way that we introduce ropes is we do a unilateral rope pull. And what I'll do is I'll film a video today of that and get that uploaded into the UMS program for you so that you can see how we do it. I'll do that because that'll only take a couple of minutes. I'll do that probably straight after this show. We'll get it done for you. So we'll upload that for you, and you can into the UMS online coaching program, and you can have a look at how that works. Dave is saying yes, that answers his question. Awesome. Richie, have you got any more questions that you can see?
No, I'm just scrolling through. There's one from. Let me just find it again.
I'll quickly, while you're looking for it, I'm going to answer Nick Eddy's question in the UMS online coaching group. So Nick is saying, I'm in my deload week for phase 2 of the foundations program. I think I did it wrong in phase 1. Deload week, you maintain reps and weight, just do less sets. Is that correct? Yes, that's absolutely correct. So the way you deload is that you deload volume. And when we do the progressions program, Nick, you're going to, so you're in the foundations program. For those of you that don't understand, in the UMS online coaching program, we have foundations and progressions. And the foundations is 3 phases that's designed to build, guess what, drum roll please, a foundation of strength and flexibility. The progressions program is where you really start, customizing the program to your own needs. Intensity refers to the amount, how much weight you're lifting. Volume refers to how many sets and reps you do. So when you deload with weightlifting, or strength training, you deload volume, not intensity, which means you actually even still look for strength gains. If you can lift more weight in your deload week than you did the week before, then you do that, but you deload volume. And the way you do that is you do 40% of the regular volume, which means if you're doing 5 sets in your working weeks from week 1 to 5, then in your deload week you only do 4 sets, but you do the same amount of weight or more and the same amount of reps. If you were doing 3 sets in your program, you'd deload to only 1 set. So your workout is way shorter, but that's the idea. It's during the deload week that you go through supercompensation, which means you become stronger and more flexible. So it's really, really important that you get that right. Richie, have you found anything else?
I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. It's Kale or Kale Alexander. Sorry if I butchered your name.
Yep.
But if you looked on the page, Rad, he's
the
doing a
Movement
pancake.
Mastermind? Or
Movement
the
Mastermind, yep. He's doing a pancake. He said, was really excited getting into trying to improve my mobility and flexibility. Unfortunately, last week, while practicing the pancake, I felt a really sharp pain in my lower back, so I stopped and took a few days off. I also realized after watching a UMS YouTube video that I've been doing it wrong by arching my back instead of keeping it neutral. The pain went away, and today, 5 days later, I tried doing it again. This time elevated my butt on a yoga block and trying to keep good form. And the pain came back immediately. Frustrating. Any tips to how to go about this form here? Much appreciated. From here.
Yep, awesome. So, I've got a lot of tips with that. Look, this is the feeling of pain that comes on for people in their lower back when they start doing loaded forward flexion is a common thing, and it always comes from poor load management. So it's basically, you've basically, like Phil's description that he always does about the bucket and the tap is the best way to understand it, and you could think of it maybe as a cup and a tap. So imagine this cup is the amount of load that your back can take, and the tap, the water that's going in, is the amount of intensity or stimulus or volume that you apply to it. What you've done is, with your pancake, is you've turned the tap on too hard and the water's just gushing out over the side. So you need to, the answer is not avoid the movement or not do it. The answer is to turn the tap down a little bit so that there's less load, less intensity, less volume going into that cup or bucket. So how do you do that? Well, as far as with the pancake goes, you definitely need to elevate your bum to look at your picture. You are rounding your back, and you need to reduce the load by reducing the intensity. And what I would potentially do is do it for a while without any weight. Do it just with your body weight. Well, the other thing that you want to do is you want to increase that that tolerance. So you want to basically turn this cup into a bucket so that it can handle more water coming from the tap. And the way you're going to do that is by progressive overload. And progressive overload is when you lift a certain amount of weight that your body can handle, that your cup can handle. So the intensity, the load that your cup can handle, you lift it for an amount of time that it becomes easy, and then you gradually increase that amount of weight. So there's different ways to do that. In the UMS Foundations program, we do that through certain strengthening exercises as well as flexibility exercises. But if you've only got access to our stretching programs, then you could also try doing, let me just see. It's really excited to get into. Okay, cool. UMS YouTube, okay. So you're basically just watching our YouTube videos to piece this together. Man, look, when you do the flexibility masterclass, there's more exercises that you do that lead up to the pancake. It's not just that you start straight with the pancake. So you might need to look into getting access to some of the more complete programs so that you understand what you're doing. But in a nutshell, you need to just increase your tolerance, your load tolerance, by reducing the intensity. So elevate your bum, keep your back straight, and do it without any weight to start with. Do that for a while. Also, bring your feet a little bit closer together. Don't worry about how wide you can go, so that when your feet are a bit closer together, you can plant your feet into the ground more, and you'll have more confidence to go forward and stabilize yourself. That will really help you.
Also, Rad, it looks like his toes are pointing in.
Yeah.
Is that preferred, or do you
No,
think that
you want to externally rotate the feet when you do the pancake. So Richard's come up with a good tip there. I'm just saying, watch this. You want to externally rotate your feet when you do the pancake. You don't want to internally rotate your feet when you do it. Yeah, man. Let us know how you go, and yeah, we'll make some progress hopefully. Now, guys, listen. The reason why we're doing this impromptu show this week is because Yani, Richard, and I are hard at work on creating a brand new program based on popular demand. We've had a lot of people asking on this topic, and we're going to reveal what that program is later this week. So we're just doing, when we create a new program, it requires a lot of our attention, a lot of our focus. So I want, I've just, yeah, we just haven't had the time to create topics for these. Yeah, Yani's saying true flexibility cannot be achieved in the absence of strength. And look, I know this is guys, look, I know this is a shameful plug, but I mean, this is honestly the answer for you. Who was it again? I was answering that pancake question for, Richard?
Was it Carly?
Carly, is it? I think. Bro, the answer, honestly, is the UMS Foundations program. You really, everybody gets to this point where when they're focusing on, they're putting all their eggs in the basket of flexibility and getting more flexible or getting stronger. If you're not training both in a 1-to-1 ratio, you're going to come into problems. You really are. And yeah, that's why we created the UMS Foundations program, is to teach people how to train in a way that creates a 1-to-1 balance between strength and flexibility. Anyway, listen, this whole week I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So get your questions in. Post them directly to the UMS Movement Mastermind page, because the better the questions are, and if they come with a video, you're going to get a really good answer. And I'll be answering your questions again tomorrow. So have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow, everyone.
Health is about performance, not just body image.
You better be willing to accept what you're going to have to do to get there.
We'll start focusing on movement goals, strength goals, flexibility goals.
When you nail that skill, it's there forever.
The body image goal doesn't get you that far.
It's the consistency and frequency that's going to get you there. It's not the intensity.
There's no shortcuts to mastery and movement. Destination doesn't change overnight, but your direction will.
The gym is not the place to beat up the body that you hate. It's the place to build the body that you love.
We are the gym that teaches people how to move instead of just exercise, because we believe that health is about performance, not just body image.